I want to bring in the founder of Air Passenger Rights, Gabor Lukács. Gabor, thanks for being here on this holiday Monday.
Good afternoon. It's great to be with you.
So talk to us, your thoughts on this tentative deal. Do you think it'll hold?
I am not qualified to comment on labor relations. I very much respect Mr. Gradek, and he's an expert of that area. And I think it's important we stick to what we have expertise in.
Okay, so tell us, what do you have expertise in terms of, obviously it's the passenger rights part of this story, so
Yes.
talk to us about that. Where are things going to stand right now with passengers who've had their flights canceled? Maybe still today they're being canceled. Talk to us about that.
One of the problems is that Westjet is not really rebooking passengers as it should be. I've heard from passengers in our Facebook group who have just received no communication whatsoever from Westjet, and they don't know what is going to happen, stranded. Some people are getting misleading false information that they can spend only so much money on a hotel when they travel internationally, while in reality there is already an outstanding interlocutory injunction against Westjet for making this type of misleading statements. It's not a good situation. Certainly Westjet has a lot to apologize for. In terms of your rights, your first and foremost right is to get alternate transportation. And if Westjet fails to rebook you within a couple hours that your flight is canceled, then it's a sign that they are not doing what they are supposed to, what they agreed to do under the contract. And then you are at liberty to buy yourself a ticket and then charge that ticket to Westjet, make them pay for it. If they don't pay it, then a judge will order them to pay it.
Okay, so what do you recommend for people? We've heard from many passengers who say they've been on the phone with WestJet for hours before they are able to get a hold of somebody. Sometimes, in some cases, the calls are dropped. What do you recommend to people for people to do right now if they are currently impacted?
The most important thing is that it's not your job as a passenger to run after the airline. The law says that it is the airline that has the onus to give you alternate transportation. So if you can even get extra evidence of attempting to call the airline, make sure that you record that. You can see that the judge will be able to see that they are not picking up your phone, not picking up your call. But ultimately, if you receive a cancellation and you still don't have an alternate transportation in 3-4 hours from the day that your flight was canceled, it's a sign that Westjet is not fulfilling the contract. You would buy a ticket on a different airline and then send the bill to Westjet for payment.
So Gabor, what about people that are traveling this week with WestJet, for example? I have a friend who said her parents are going to be coming to visit her from Winnipeg I believe it's on Friday, in Toronto. So for people like that who have flights coming up in the next couple days, what would you recommend they do?
Sit tight. You have rights from the moment that your flight is actually canceled. Until such time that Westjet cancels your flight, or it's obvious that the flight is canceled, you have to assume that they are going to operate the flight as contracted. The strike is over now, at least that's what the announcement has been. And so within a 24-hour grace period, the employees should be back, as I understand, to reporting to work. Once the employees report back to work, Westjet has no longer any excuse for not operating flights. If they still delay or cancel a flight, that will be within the carrier's control and not due to a labor disruption anymore.
So if you have your flight canceled by WestJet, are you entitled to any meal vouchers or hotels or anything like that in this scenario?
Currently, we are still in the very narrow window grace period when the cancellation may well be due to labor disruption. So under Canada's air passenger protection regulations, the answer is no. But if you travel internationally, then under the Canadian Carriage by Air Act, the answer is yes. So it depends very much where you travel to or from. In addition, once that 24-hour grace period is over, after the workers return to their works, then any kind of cancellation delay will be again within the carrier's control, not required for safety reasons, and that is something for which Westjet will have to pay meals, accommodation, and cash compensation up to $1,000. The big question is when actually the worker is going to start reporting back to work, and that is a question that Westjet and the union should both very clearly and publicly address.
Okay, before we let you go, the last final question. For people that are watching right now, maybe they're taking notes, maybe they're a bit confused, what do you recommend they should do? Is there a place online they can go to get some of this information for themselves if they have any follow-up questions?
We have information on our website, airpassengerrights.ca, a specific article on this topic, and passengers are also invited to pose their questions in our Air Passenger Rights Canada Facebook group.
Okay, I'm sure that'll be very helpful for a lot of people that are facing these challenges this week. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
That is the founder of Air Passenger Rights, Gabor Lukacs.